I wanted to make this video because I think it's important to talk about incidents of racism, how one deals with it, how I dealt with it, and how one can overcome it. Because I know that it's quite traumatizing for many people if they've dealt with racism in any way. So I want to share my experience so it can help someone out there. So I had a college class with a professor whom I regarded very highly, right? He was a terrific mind in the beginning. I mean, he knew so much stuff. He was an English professor. And so he knew all the classics. He knew the modern writers, right? Hemingway, Faulkner, Jack London. He knew them all. He knew them all. Tolstoy, Chekhov, you name it, he knew it. He can tell you passages from their books by memory. He was a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant mind in the beginning. I thought the world of him. And I thought he was a very sophisticated person, perhaps the most sophisticated person I had met at that time. I was enamored with his intellect because I'm a reader and I love to read. In the beginning, I was a neophyte. I wasn't as well read, right? But I admired that greatly, greatly. However, it was blighted by something that he said to me, and I was quite disappointed by what occurred. So let me just set you up. So one day in class, he was giving us an assignment, and the assignment had to do with us reading Homer's The Odyssey. And so he was just asking the whole class, before I give you this assignment, let me give a show of hands. How many of you have read Homer's The Odyssey? Right? So practically the whole class read Homer's The Odyssey, apparently, right? I didn't raise my hand. Now, I had read Homer's The Iliad cover to cover, right? I didn't read the whole of Homer's The Odyssey. I only read up to book 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken. But I read the Spark Notes beforehand, and I kind of knew the plot, but I didn't know the details. So I didn't raise my hand. I didn't technically read it. I know many of the people in the class that rose their hand. I can guarantee you they didn't read it. They're just raising their hand, right? They're just saying it. But I was being truthful. And he looked at me, glared at me, gave me a very, very mean glare and said, "You didn't read Homer's The Odyssey because you're black," in front of the whole class. And everybody's looking like, and I'm looking at him like, okay, I don't know what to say. I guess we'll leave it there. And then he turned around and went back as if nothing happened. And then everybody just kind of went along with it. And then after class, a lot of the students came up to me and said, "Oh, I can't believe he said that. It's terrible. Oh, he's such a mean professor, this and that. Let's go to the dean." And I looked at them and I said, "There is no way I'm going to go to the dean. There's no way. I'm not doing it." And they said, "Why not? I mean, it's wrong. He shouldn't have said that." And I said, "There's no need. There's no need to go to the dean." Right. And I guarantee you that if I had gone to the dean and told him what had happened, it would be in the news. He would lose his job. I would be some black victim who, dealt with racism by a college professor. It'd be all over the place. But I said, there's no need for all that. And I told a friend after class, we were walking back to the parking lot to drive home. And I said, now think about it, right? This guy was supposed to be a great intellectual, very enlightened, right? Very sophisticated. And so your expectations are going to be quite high for him compared to other people. Now, what he said was very, very ignorant, very ignorant. So you're essentially saying that Black people, as a whole, probably have never read Homer's The Odyssey, or probably don't read, period, or probably just aren't very intellectually oriented, right? And you might be right about a good amount of them, right? But there are a good amount of them also that have read Homer's The Odyssey. In fact, there are many great writers that have read great literature. And so that statement just shows me how ignorant you are and just how basic you think. I was more disappointed at the fact that I had built him up so highly in my head and he exposed himself as a fraud. That's kind of how I took it. I wasn't even offended by the comment. I didn't really care what he thought. It was more, wow, this guy is not as smart as I thought he was. And my buddy's like, "So what are you gonna do?" I says, "I'm not gonna do anything. I don't care what he has to say. He's to me, he's an idiot. So he's an ignorant. He's not sophisticated. So I don't respect what he has to say. It's like a child calling me poopy pants. What do I care what a child has to say, right? So I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen, right? I'm gonna go in class. I'm gonna do my work. I'm gonna do as instructed. But I guarantee you I'm going to get an A because I'm going to put in the work and I'm going to show him that, yes, I can read Homer's The Odyssey and more. And that's exactly what happened. I went in, I knew the book cover to cover. I knew all the scenes, raised my hand, answered all the questions. I was probably the best student in the class, right? So I showed him, hey, you might have a perception of me. You think I'm stupid because I'm black, but I'm going to show you that I'm not stupid, right? I'm going to show you that I actually am going to put some effort in, not to prove you any wrong at all. It's really, for me to show that black people as a whole are not inherently stupid, right? Like there are smart black people, right? And so that can help you in the future so you don't generalize and say something to a black student that might get you fired. Because if I was one of those sensitive black people that said, "Oh, racism, I'm a victim," you wouldn't have a job. You wouldn't be employed, right? So I'm not even gonna go there because trust me, I have very thick skin. I really don't care what you think about me at all. I don't care what you say to me personally. I only care if you're going to grade me correctly and be fair and just do your job the way you should. And he did. He did a great job. He was after that, never had an incident with him. And I got an A. He shook my hand and moved on, right? Moved on. So I think the point that I would like to express here is that uh, to go on and start crying about what a professor said in front of the whole class and saying you're a victim and now you can't move on because you're embarrassed. He didn't embarrass me. He embarrassed himself. He showed how ignorant he was. He showed how foolish he was. I didn't really feel embarrassed at all. I mean, I kind of looked at him like he was kind of an idiot. I kind of thought he was stupid, right? Because I thought about him like that doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, he was the one who made himself a fool. So to go on and start whining and crying about what a professor said, oh, my professor said I'm stupid. No, you're not stupid. He's stupid. So we need to stop this sissifying of black people, this just being big babies, right? That someone said something to me and now I'm going to cry and whine about it. I'm going to go on the news and then I'm going to get this guy fired. He didn't deserve to be fired. Outside of that comment, he was a pretty decent professor. He gave us the work. We did it. He graded us fairly and he gave us good feedback and he did his job. So why should he be fired over a small comment, right? It's not worth it. And so I hope this can serve as more or less a template for some people who have dealt with similar issues or who will deal with some similar issues. Don't go and cry and whine about what someone says. You care about what they do. You don't care about what they say. You have to have self esteem and confidence. I knew that I wasn't stupid. I knew that I can do the work, and I showed him, and he saw it, and he knew that he was wrong. And so do that. Instead of crying about comments, you show him that his comments are wrong by your conduct, by your actions. And that is how you defeat racism. And I hope that was helpful.